Well, hello, it is summer, and I thought I would do my video outside today. It's quite a nice day, which is very rare in the northeast. But yeah, it's summer. So I'm sorry if you hear a lot of background noise. I am in my garden, and there are lots of dogs barking, kids playing, as you do. So I thought I would do my mid-year freak out book tag. No, mid-year book freak out tag. That's the one. Thought I would do that one because I only joined Booktube in April, so there are quite a lot of months that you guys haven't seen me do any reading or know what my thoughts were on books. I think prior to like end of April, so this is like a good opportunity to catch you up on my reading shit. So let's jump straight into it because there are how many questions? There are 13 questions, and Cody from Cody's Book Corner tagged me specifically for this tag, so I'm doing it. So the first question is the best book you've read so far in 2019. Now, this is quite a hard one. Is that a plane? There's a plane flying right overhead. Why did I think filming outside was a good idea? Why? Ah, fucking easy jet. Carry on. Sorry. The best book you've read so far in 2019. Now that is a really hard question, but I have 4 answers for this one. The first will be, of course, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one I absolutely adored. Oh my god. Now there were dogs fighting. This was not my brightest idea. Sorry. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, Taylor Jenkins Reid. I absolutely love this one. I read this one literally just last week, so you can hear all my thoughts on this in last week's vlog. Last week's wrap up. Oh my god, it's the next door neighbour's dogs as well. They bark at anything that breathes next to that fucking fence. So I really enjoyed this one. I loved it so much. It's got great buy rep in this one as well. Probably like the best I've seen in such a long time. The story was amazing. I was just sucked in. This isn't the last time you'll see this book in this video, so don't you worry about a thing. Another book that I would consider one of my favourites so far this year is My Best Friend's Exorcism by Grady Hendrix. I was so pleasantly surprised by this one. Like, this is one that I read this month as well. I didn't expect it to go the way it did, and I love the idea. I mean, I feel like Exorcist stories have been done to death. So it was nice and refreshing to have this one set in the 80s. It is a bit Mean Girls meets The Exorcist. Had me laughing, close to tears a lot of the time. Yeah, if you saw one of my vlogs again in the past couple of weeks, you'll know how much I love this one. So yeah, the third out of 4 that I would consider one of my favourites this year is Scythe by Neil Schusterman. I was very pleasantly surprised by this one as well. It was recommended on Becca's channel, and it is, I'm not going to go into what half these books are about, to be honest, unless it's something really obscure. I feel like a lot of you guys will know, a lot of the ones, especially if you've been on my channel. But Scythe, fantastic, absolutely loved it. The world building, the dystopian feel of it, because I feel like dystopias have been kind of going a bit out of fashion since Hunger Games. Like, Hunger Games came, it was amazing, and then ever since it's like kind of died off, or at least the things that have followed haven't been as good. But with Scythe, I just found it so refreshing. I love the story, I love the way it headed. I can't wait to read the sequel. I would definitely say this is one of my favourites so far this year. But I also need to add probably my favourite children's book so far this year, which is A Pinch of Magic by Michelle Harrison. This book is about 3 sisters, and they each have this magical item. So one of them has this magic traveling bag, one of them has these Russian doll things that makes you go invisible, and the other one has a magic mirror that lets you sort of talk to anyone. This was the Waterstones Children's Book of the Month in February, I believe. Like, the story was very fast paced. These sisters are cursed, and they kind of sort of have to save each other from this curse. The curse is that if they leave where they live, they will die within 24 hours, and guess what? The curse is triggered, and they've got to try and save each other, and it's just so magical, so whimsical. There is a sequel coming and I cannot wait for it, but yeah, I definitely love this one. Recommend it. My favourite children's book so far this year. So the next question is the best sequel I've read so far in 2019. Now, I haven't read that many sequels this year. I've mainly been reading probably first of series or standalones, so the only one that I can really say that I enjoyed was Winter by Marissa Meyer. I have been reading things like Series of Unfortunate Events, and I did kind of enjoy Scarlet and Cress, which are the second and third book in the Lunar Chronicles series. This one's the 4th and final one. I enjoyed this one the most out of all of them. I gave this one 5 stars. I loved it. I Found the second and third one to kind of lose track a bit, and I got a bit bored halfway through them. This one's so much thicker, but I felt this one kept my interest for a lot longer. The stakes were pretty high. I really enjoyed the story, and I would 100% say this one's my favourite of all the Lunar Chronicles books. And yeah, because I haven't read that many sequels, this is pretty much the only one that I could say that is a sequel that I've enjoyed. So I really enjoyed Winter. So the third question is a new release that you haven't read but you want to, and I have 3 options for that one as well. The first one is Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. I don't really know a lot about this one because I mean a lot of people have been talking it on Booktube. A few of my friends are reading it at the minute. I've heard mixed things about this one. I do know it has blood magic in it. It is very inspired by the Grishaverse, but I've never read the Grishaverse, so I don't know what to expect with this one, to be honest. But I really love the cover. This was a total cover by the Deckle pages. It looks so good, spine. You'll hear this from literally every single person who bought this book. This is a beautiful book. Another one I'm excited to read is Middle Game by Shona Maguire. Rachel so kindly gifted this to me last week, and I literally cannot wait to read this now. She pretty much gave it a total 5-star rating, said it's one of her favourite books of all time now. This has got my interest peaked to the maximum. All I know is that it is about a pair of twins, and that's about it. I'll try and fit it into July and see how that goes. I'm really excited about this. I also know Cody read it and enjoyed it, so this one's definitely going to be a good one. And also Red, White and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This one is an LGBTQ romance. It is about the first son of the President of the United States and the Prince of Wales, and it's like a romance between the two, so it's like very political. It's probably a little bit forbidden, like in this world. I don't know if maybe that's kind of frowned upon between two, like a royal and somebody presidential. I do love me some LGBTQ plus romance. Sometimes I find them a bit too unrealistic, so I don't know what I'm going to think of this one, if it's really going to be like hard to relate to because it's like so unrealistic. I don't know. I've heard nothing but good things about this one. I've always seen like 4 or 5-star ratings of it, so this is another one I'm going to try and fit into July. But I love me some kind of like royal, scandalous kind of stuff. The fourth question is my most anticipated release for the second half of the year, and I haven't actually read the second book in the series yet, but the first one I'm really excited for is The Toll by Neil Shusterman. It comes out in November, I believe, November 7th, and it looks fantastic. I've heard so many great things about the second book, which I haven't picked up yet. As I said, Scythe is one of my favourite books so far this year. Becca read Thunderhead recently and she absolutely loved it, so I have such high hopes for Thunderhead. So The Toll is my most anticipated release so far this year, followed by The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. I read The Handmaid's Tale for the first time last year. I've watched the first 2 seasons of the show and I absolutely loved the show. I thought the book was just so well written, so amazing. Margaret Atwood is a fantastic writer, and I'm just so super duper excited about The Testaments. I know it's set like about 20 years after the events in The Handmaid's Tale, so I don't believe it's about Offred. I'm not too sure. I know that one comes out in September. Okay, so the fifth question is my biggest disappointment this year, and the first one I want to say is a little controversial because a lot of people really enjoyed this book, but that is Curse So Dark and Lonely by Bridget Kimura. I found this boring for most of it, and then it really did pick up in the last like 150 pages. I enjoyed it, but I don't know, like it didn't feel like it was doing anything new because it's marketed as a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it definitely is. I love me some Beauty and the Beast, but I just found it so plain, so dull for most of it, and it just didn't do anything new. It was just like bog standard kind of stuff. Again, I enjoyed the last part of the book. I will pick up the sequel at some point, but after hearing so many great things about this, I don't know. And I had some gripes with some of the narrative stuff in it as well. I felt like there was a lot of talking down to the reader, but that's just me. Another plane. Jesus Christ. This will be the first and last video I do in the back garden. Another one that I was a bit disappointed in was One of Us is Lying by Karen M. McManus. I still think I gave this like a 3.54 star because I really enjoy Karen's writing style. I enjoyed the story. I think it's a great story, but I predicted exactly who it was in the first couple of pages. I probably watched too much CSI. But I just found this to be very, very predictable. I enjoyed the characters though, that's one thing I will give it. And why I rated it quite highly, despite me being disappointed with this, is that I really enjoyed the characters. I thought they were quite different from one another. I thought they each had very defining personalities, and I did enjoy this one. I did enjoy this one. But I was disappointed in the fact that I could predict it from the first few pages. So it didn't surprise me. It was a big disappointment for me. And recently as well, that I think you guys probably know about because I read it for Ghibli-thon, and that is The Mermaid by Christina Henry. This is my first Christina Henry book, and I gave this 3 stars. Why are there so many dogs barking? Like, what is going on? So you know what I think about this one if you've saw some of my recent videos. I found most of this to be very dull, very repetitive. I enjoyed the story of P.T. Barnum discovering a real-life mermaid, because P.T. Barnum is a con artist. I just felt this was very repetitive. Will they just fucking shut up? So just take a fucking break. Where was I? I wanted it to be darker than it was as well. I didn't find it that dark. I just know that it was just a lot of talk about Amelia, the main character, being part of the exhibit. Even though I enjoyed the story idea, I wasn't the biggest fan of the execution. Sorry, Christina Henry. This is my first book of yours, and I will continue, but gotta do better than this. Question number 6 is my biggest surprise, and my biggest surprise is actually Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. This is the first proper science fiction book that I've ever read. I always avoided science fiction because I didn't think it was a... Why are kids shouting now? Kids are shouting. I know this is the summer. Play silently. The last I say outside into this. Yes, biggest surprise, Ready Player One. So I was actually surprised that I really enjoyed this one because it's science fiction. It was a genre that was out of my comfort zone, but I gave this one a solid 5 star. I enjoyed this one all the way through. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the book was much better. I'm not going to know what this one's about as well because this is another one that's been recently on my videos. Check out some of my other videos if you want to know my full thoughts on this. I think my first ever vlog, I read this. Yeah, I've got more thoughts then. But yeah, I was really surprised that I enjoyed a science fiction book. So the 7th question is my favourite new author, whether that's a debut author or an author that's new to me. So one of them is Bridget Collins, who wrote The Binding. Beautiful edition here, signed as well. I really enjoyed this one. It just missed out on my favourite books of the year so far, but I only gave it 4 star. It was like so near a 5 star, like it frustrates me that I didn't give it a 5 star. The first part really dragged it down though, so that's why I'm keeping it as a 4 star. But parts 2 and 3 of this were just amazing. I loved it so much. But I love Bridget Collins' writing style, so she is probably one of my favourite new authors this year. And it's just a beautiful edition, man. It's about a world where you can bind your memories into books, or a professional bookbinder does that for you. So people can come to these bookbinders to take away certain memories, and some people can take advantage of that though. So I love this story idea, and the main character is a young boy who is made this apprentice of this older woman who is a professional like bookbinder person. I think there's a proper name for it, but I can't remember now because I read this back in January. He ends up discovering that his own memories had been bound, and he had no idea. So it's kind of like, what was so important that he forgot, and why were these memories taken away from him? And it's quite interesting, but parts 2 and 3 were definitely better than the first part. I think get through the first part and you'll be flying. Another favourite new author is Neil Shusterman, of course. One of the reasons why Scythe was one of my favourite books of 2019 is because of the writer and his amazing writing style. Just so addictive, man, and it makes the story so interesting throughout like 400 pages. And yeah, definitely one of my favourite new authors of this year so far. Children's book wise, I would also say Thomas Taylor by Malamat. I would also say like Thomas Taylor, who wrote Malamander. I really enjoyed this story like so much. Like there's quite a bit of like childish mystery going on, a lot of whimsicalness going on. He is a debut author as well, and he did illustrate the original cover of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, so he is amazing anyway. But yeah, I would say he is one of my favourite new children's authors this year. I also have Grady Hendrix, who wrote My Best Friend's Exorcism. I absolutely loved how much he made me laugh. I think it is a male author. I think Grady Hendrix is a male author. I love how much he made me laugh. I'm sorry if you're a woman. I've never laughed so much in a book in such a long time, and this is supposed to be a scary book as well, so I love the balance that he had with this book between humour and horror, so major props to you. This was a great, great read. Thank you so much for it. And finally, of course, Taylor Jenkins Reid, who wrote Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I cannot wait to read more of her works. I think I'm going to try Daisy Jones and the Six audiobook, because I had a little flick through of the book at work, and I'm not sure I enjoy books like that, but I really loved Evelyn Hugo so much, and Taylor Jenkins Reid is a phenomenal writer, so a lot of people have said use the audiobook for Daisy Jones and the Six, and I think that's what I'm going to do, so thanks for the suggestion. But Taylor Jenkins Reid, your writing is just... magnifique. The eighth question is my newest fictional crush, and I'm gonna go back to Evelyn Hugo. Like I am a full-on gay man, okay, but I absolutely love Evelyn Hugo. Like I think I have a bit of a crush on Evelyn Hugo. Just her presence and her, I'm starting to shiver a bit now. It's getting quite cold, and also because I've just got the feels for Evelyn Hugo. Like she does something to me, and that's really bizarre. Like I don't know how to explain it, but the way she speaks, the way she just presents herself, like she would have me in the palm of her hand if she was a real person. I know this for a fact. Another fictional crush of mine is Kyle from Heartstruck. He is the gay cousin of the main character Rachel, and he like, there's a scene where he's sleeping in his boxes. It's just like, oh, stop it. I'm a thirsty ass bitch. What can I say? But Kyle is just gorgeous. His blonde hair. He's gorgeous. He's got blonde hair. He's American. He's just like everything that makes my knees weak. Question number 9 is my newest favorite character, and it's Evelyn Hugo again. I'm sorry, but like the way she talks about men and the way she gets things what she wants, and she's not ashamed for using her body or anything like that, because she shouldn't be ashamed. In my personal belief, I relate to Evelyn Hugo so much. I feel like I am a bit of an Evelyn Hugo myself in a way, but I absolutely love the way she speaks. I love that she has so much like wisdom to share, especially with Monique, who was writing her life story. And I learned a lot from Evelyn Hugo. She is definitely my newest favourite character of this year. Probably one of my favourite fictional characters of all time. I need this to be a movie. Like, so badly, I want this to be a movie. And question number 10 as well is books that made you cry. And Evelyn Hugo. Like, I didn't cry, but I got so emotional because this is going through Evelyn Hugo's life like for like a span of about 4 or 5 decades, and you just know that there are going to be losses in her life, and it doesn't make it any more easier the more you read into it, the more you learn about these characters, and just like, oh, I just really, they felt like such real characters as well, which is why I got so attached. But I absolutely loved a lot of the secondary characters. Very well done. Wouldn't say cry, but it made me really tear up. Is that the last time I mentioned this? This is the last time I mentioned this in the video. A children's book that actually like made me quite emotional was The Boy at the Back of the Class by Anjali Q. Roth. I'm so sorry, I've really pronounced your name so wrong. But The Boy at the Back of the Class, it's a story about a young boy. He's a Syrian refugee, and he starts a new school, and the main character of this book sort of takes him under her wing, and she protects him sort of like from bullying. You really see like some really like amazing childlike innocence in this, and how kind children can be to one another, but also as well like how cruel. But like there's a lot of kindness in this, there's a lot of acceptance in this, and it just made me like really tear up at just how like amazingly like I don't know how to explain it, but like how amazingly sympathetic children can be. Fucking horns, really? How kind they can be and how they can, you know, really help other kids. And I just feel like this is like such a great important book for children to read in this day and age, to be more accepting of people, especially people who are from different countries, people from different cultures, you know, just because, you know, we are one world, and it's just like, it's just nice to be kind. And quick little mention to The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. This made me want to cry for all the wrong reasons. It made me want to cry because I wasted my time reading this. It made me want to cry because I literally wanted to burn this fucker to the ground. Question number 11 is books that made you happy. I will say again, The Binding by Bridget Collins. This one made me quite happy. There is a romance in this that I was really rooting for, but for a lot of the time you don't know what's going to happen with it. And I'm not saying that it ends the way I wanted want it to, because there was definitely some curveballs there, and I'm not saying whether it was a happy ending or a sad ending, but there were definitely moments in this that made me really fucking happy. And it gets a little bit smutty, not gonna lie, and I love me some smut. I was really digging for this one, and I just, again, because I love the writing style so much, that this, even though the first part was rather slow and dragged the rest of it down, the rest of it, just like, I was getting more and more happy as I was reading it, thinking, gosh, this is like such a great story, this is greatly written, and I love the characters. So this one definitely made me happy. And another one that made me happy was Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by Elsie Rosen. This one is about a boy at school. He is gay, he's Jack is openly gay and he's very proud of it, but he's got this reputation for being this kind of slag. So I relate 100% to him, and I absolutely freaking love this book as well. This is one of my favourite LGBTQ plus romances this year, and maybe of all time. What I loved about this is that it didn't focus too much on romance, because this main character Jack, he's definitely more carefree with his sexuality and he's not ashamed of it. Again, you shouldn't be ashamed of it, and I love how it doesn't focus like on soppy romance that just seems unrealistic. There is a mystery going on as well, because Jack does find himself having a stalker, and it's somebody in his school, you don't know who it is, and I was pleasantly surprised by this. This made me so freaking happy. There is some smutty action in this. There's talk of blowjobs, anal, oral, oh wait, that is blowjobs, okay. Start again. It's like oral, anal, like sex toys. It just like, oh, I just absolutely fucking loved it. Like, if you want a little bit of smut, but like young adult style, then this is definitely the one for you. And I loved it. It's quite funny as well, so there's that as well. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book that I have bought or I have received this year. And of course, I'm going to talk about my beautiful Song of Ice and Fire editions. I just thought I'd bring the first one down. I didn't want to bring all three. I did just buy the fourth one though. Little spoiler for the next book haul video. But I have just bought the fourth book. 4 out of 5 so far. But this is the beautiful Game of Thrones hardback edition that is just going to be the most beautifulest, bestest books that I ever buy in my lifetime. It's gotta be. But yeah, it does have the gold sprayed edges and a bit of white. This is just like a beautiful, beautiful book. It's sort of a bit like a kind of. It's a bit like an old kind of book style that you would find in a very old library, which I really enjoy. And I just absolutely freaking love this. I love this edition so much. And I do have the second and third one, and the fourth one is on its way. Because I just keep spending on myself. Oh, is that another plane? That is the third plane in 32 minutes that I've been recording this. Is it safe to speak now? Okay, so the 13th and final question is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? There are a few. So one of them actually is The Confessions of Franny Langton by Sarah Collins. This is described as a Victorian Dickensian kind of book, where I believe Franny Langton is put on trial for something, maybe murder. I think she was a servant in a household, and the couple that she worked for ends up murdered, and she is put on trial for their murder. So I absolutely love the cover of this book as well. It's signed. It's one of those ones that I'm excited to read, but I'm kind of just like, it hasn't ever come up for my TBR, if you know what I mean. Like, I want to read it, but I don't know how to explain it. Like, if you know how to explain this better than I do, if you know what I'm thinking right now, let me know in the comments. I do really want to read this by the end of the year, hopefully, because it is a new release, and I want to read it while it's still fresh off the press. I also want to read The Book of Dust by Philip Pullman. I've actually never read any Philip Pullman books, but I really do want to read The Book of Dust, Volume 1, La Belle Sauvage. And because the sequel is coming out soon, we have this big pre-order campaign at work, and I love the cover of the second one as well. I'm currently winning my pre-order incentive at work as well with the most pre-orders. And I think I should probably read this one before I read The Secret Commonwealth, which is what Volume 2 is called. I believe this is set before his Dark Materials, which is what Phil Pullman is mainly known for. I saw the movie The Golden Compass, but I didn't really like it. But I never actually really read the books, and that's so bad because they're so popular and like such classics, like modern day classics really. And I feel like a lot of people are judging me right now. So I'll want to read them at some point too, but I know these are set beforehand, so I think it's safe to read these first, hopefully. Another one that I need to read by the end of the year, because the third one is coming out, which I've discussed previously, and that's Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman. Again, this is the sequel to Scythe, and I haven't read it yet. I hear great things. I really want to finish the series, so not much to say about that one. I also want to read Nevernight in God's Grave by J. Christoph. There is a third book coming out this year as well. Is it called Nevernight? No, that's the first one. I literally can't remember what it's called. Anyway, that's coming out, and there is currently a readathon for these books, and I want to join in. I'm getting FOMO, so I'm going to try and read Nevernight in July and God's Grave in August, ready for the third book in September. Yeah, these are not YA that That's what I know about these, is that they're not YA. I don't know anything else about these books, which is the way I like it, and the way it always is. I also need to read books 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 of a series of unfortunate events. I need to read the last 8 books in a series of unfortunate events because I've read the first 5, and I'm going to try and go off the top of my head. I'm not cheating here, I'm not looking at anything, I won't edit out anything. There's nothing written on here except my answers, as you can see there, series of unfortunate events, 6 to 13. I'll also turn it around just so you know. But I believe the 6th one is the Ersatz Elevator, and then it is the Vile Village, the Hostile Hospital, the Carnivorous Carnival, the Slippery Slope, the Grim Grotto, the Penultimate Peril, and the End. Oh my god, yes, I've got it. By George, I think he's got it. Yes, so I'm impressed. I don't know about you, but I'm impressed. So I need to read all of those by the end of the year as well. It was in my video for the series I want to start and finish this year. And yeah, I've read the first 5 so far. I'm intersectioning them between bigger books so that they're not as hefty. Or at least the other books are not as hefty. The series Unfortunate Events series is so easy to read, so great to just plow through. I read The Austere Academy yesterday all in one day. And then the last books will be Storm of Swords, Feast for Crows, and Dance with Dragons by George R.R. Martin. I didn't want to bring these all down with me, but I do want to catch up with the Catch Up Book Club. I'm almost caught up. I just need to read Storm of Swords by July, whenever the live show is, and then I'm caught up. So that's good. And yeah, so Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons will be after that, and I need to read them by the end of the year. So that was my mid book. I can't ever say mid-year book freak out tag, and I hope you enjoyed it. Oh god, I've literally got nipple on. I'm so cold. I need to tag people now, so I want to tag Becca at Becca and the Books, but she's probably already done it. I don't know. I want to tag Jade at JD Ray Reads. I want to tag Book Roast. I want to tag Rachel Marie. I want to tag Is Currently Reading. And I want to tag literally anybody who's watching this that really wants to do this tag. Just do it. I had a blast, even though it was very stressful doing it outside. I haven't exactly freaked out yet because I'm ahead of schedule this year. I don't want to finish reading 100 books this year. Let's see if that's going to happen. I think I've read 55 so far this year. So just bravo to all the books that were mentioned in this, apart from the ones that were disappointing in the flat share. Make sure you leave a little like, comment down below, let me know if you're going to do the tag. I will hopefully catch you in the next video. Bye!